Hey. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And yeah, I just told you Amanda won't be joining us today, and Shamir will be a little bit later due to Wi-Fi issues. And so, I would just start with a prayer like we always do. So, please close your eyes and bring your hands in prayer position, or as it feels good for you, actually. And breathe long and deeply for a moment. And yeah, big thank you for joining us for this Mission on Earth Council gathering. It's the third one now. And thank you for, yeah, answering to this resonant, to this field that we are creating and holding, you know, in these meetings, but also beyond. And also, if we don't meet, we have this connection. And I'm really hoping and praying that this field will become stronger and stronger, that we can like plug into it when we have a little difficult moment, when we feel a little bit alone on our journey, when we feel a little bit hopeless, because in these times it can get a little bit difficult. We might be in communities or in family with our families and friend groups that don't quite understand us, and where we feel a little bit like the odd one out. So just so you know, this energetic field is always here, and there are many more connected to this. And I like to, yeah, speak about volunteer souls, light worker souls, star seeds, but whatever resonates for you. If you are here, you are a new earth soul. You are here to create, co-create the new earth with us together, to bring change. You're not here to fit in. You're here to be different. You're here to bring change. And as always, now, before we do anything else, we start with our opening prayer. So breathe long and deeply, and feel everyone who is here, gathered here in this meeting, but also beyond that, for a moment whilst these words are spoken. As we gather, we arrive fully in this moment, grounded, present, and open. We release what lies outside this circle and enter this space with clarity and care. We meet as equals around the cosmic fire, honoring the wisdom within each voice and the purpose that calls us here. We gather as equals in service to Earth, letting the new consciousness ground through us. May this council be guided, our listening be deep, and our words be true. Come as you are, and remember who you are becoming. And so it is. And so maybe just relax your hands into your lap and keep your eyes closed. Breathe long and deeply. It's going to take us through a little meditation, guided meditation. So we can be here fully present, feel grounded and connected to divine guidance, experience ourselves as the bridge between heaven and earth that we came here to be, as the bridge for anchoring these higher energies, higher frequencies, higher consciousness that is being shared with us. So I invite you to relax a little bit more with each exhale. Know that you are safe here, that you are in the right room with the right people, that you can fully surrender, that it's safe to be in your body, it's safe to be on this planet, although it doesn't seem like this. Know that being here is a great privilege, This is an experience that many souls have lined up for. And we have once again volunteered to be here, to help this process of transformation, of ascension, the great shift, however you want to call it. We have volunteered to be here. And we knew very well that at arrival, we most likely would forget our divine mission. We would forget who we are, that we are undying souls. We would forget that we had maybe lifetimes in galaxies and faraway star systems. We would suddenly feel, very three-dimensional. And we knew this, and we still volunteered, and we were still excited to come back. Maybe some of us had many lifetimes on Earth, others only a few. For them, it's difficult to be in human bodies. It's difficult to align, probably for all of us here, to the denser energies that are still present on this planet. It can feel like a hostile place. So thank you for remembering. Thank you for reaching out to like-minded souls, star family, for connecting, for opening yourself, for having the courage to be who you are and you came here to be. And many of us forget how important it is to ground. It's kind of like a very much connected to the cosmic heart and the galactic center, and that's beautiful. But the key for being here and for living and thriving is to be fully grounded and fully arrived in your current incarnation. So I invite you, just like following these words for a moment, to ground even more so and ground yourself amongst this circle. And bring your attention to the base of your spine for a moment and visualize a golden red lotus flower there. And this lotus flower has a beautiful taproot that is growing down, all the way down into the earth, through rock and mud, underground water systems, ancient civilizations, through the molten fire. And this taproot is reaching now the heart of the earth, a golden red crystal at the center of the earth. And your energy is celebrated, is welcomed, is so well received. And Mother Earth is sending from her heart her love, grounding, nurturing energy up through that taproot, all the way up again through the molten fire, passing underground water systems, through ancient civilizations, and maybe on the way meeting the roots of the other beautiful souls that are present here, meeting the roots of the light workers that are here to help this process of transition, transformation, helping to anchor, to support, to share information, to share love and energy, just weaving this beautiful web. And then this energy from Mother Earth is slowly flooding into your root chakra, and then your entire body. And for a moment, just feel how you are flooded by golden red light. And just really surrender into it and let yourself be held by the earth for unconditional love for you. Letting her really hold you and bless you with the energy, maybe words that you are receiving directly from the earth. And just feel your nervous system relaxing, your breath relaxing, your heart opening. And also your crown opening to receive higher guidance from those who have been watching right from the beginning. So bringing in now golden white beam of light from the cosmic heart, entering your crown and flowing through your body, activating every single cell, dormant DNA. The energy of the star elder beings, ancestors, archangels, angels, divine helpers. And just receiving this sacred, safe stream of energy. Letting that be met by the energy of Mother Earth. Not only are you a child of the earth, you're also a child of the stars. And slowly, slowly, these energies are merging to a golden pink energy of love and compassion. And maybe you find a concentration of that at the center of your chest where the heart chakra is located. Maybe you would like to place your hands onto your heart, breathing into it. A place where heaven and earth meet, the masculine, the feminine, the light and the dark, the day and the night. Place of balance, harmony, tantric union that enables you to be the island of calm, the beacon of light, the way shower, the role model, the warrior, spiritual warrior, warrior of peace. Yeah, breathing into your heart and just feeling your precious heart opening, deepening your breath with each round. One more time, maybe bringing that image of the roots that are all connected beneath the ground and the beautiful golden white beam of light that's coming in through the crown. And with this image and this web that we have created now, woven together, taking one deep breath through the nose together, exhale through the mouth, 2 more of those, final one. And then slowly, slowly releasing the hands, flickering open the eyes, and yeah, welcome back. And we manifested ourselves a spiritual warrior, Shamir. Great you're here. So welcome, welcome. Shamir has been a good friend of mine for some years. We met in Avalon. I let him tell you about his beautiful journey and his moment of awakening or phase of awakening that is still happening, I'm sure. But yeah, just a big thank you for being here, Shamir, for being part of Mission on Earth and being one of our wisdom keepers from the start, together with the Blue Lions. You will talk to us about that for sure as well. And yeah, we're really excited to have you. So over to you, my love. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamaima, for the meditation. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone here, depending on where you are in the world. Yeah, it's really beautiful to be gathered here. And you see, I'm somewhere outdoors in a beautiful place, close to Glastonbury, close to Avalon. It's actually within the Vale of Avalon. It's interesting. I was getting ready for this call, and then suddenly the internet at my place was acting a little bit weird, and then I was like, what am I gonna do? So this is a very beautiful and magical place, just 5 minutes away from my home, and I do a lot of work here as well. And so I've landed here, and when I was sitting here, there was like a buzzard that flew by and came really close. I've worked here and been in this place for numerous times, many times, but I've never seen a buzzard so close hovering, and that was while Hamaima was leading the meditation. So there's something very significant of me needing to be here, apparently, to do this call and not at my home. I don't know how familiar you are with Avalon. I see Ansley's here, and we spend some time here on these magical lands. And there's one aspect of the landscape here, which is my home now, and has been my home for around 8 years, which is known as the Glastonbury Zodiac, which is that Glastonbury and the hills around Glastonbury can be mapped out as the signs of the zodiac. So it's a direct reflection of heaven on earth, of the stars on planet Earth. And where I am right now and where I live as well in this village, Butley, it's the center of the zodiac, and this place where I am, the Apothecary Gardens. I just returned from India very recently, and I was guided to come here for meditation as well. There's a stone circle with a herbal garden there in the back. You should come and visit at some point, but there is something activating and emerging from here and through these lands here. There are more than 200 rose bushes planted as well here. They make natural medicines, and the rose representing the medicine of the heart as well. So it felt somehow significant that I'm here. You might hear some background noise because there are some other guests that are having a little gathering close by. So that's where I am at and sharing from, and that's where Hamaima and myself met as well a few years ago, introduced by a dear friend of ours, Gibi. And Hamaima, myself, Gibi, and I see many others here in the group, and many others all across the world have been on this journey of, some call it awakening, some call it remembering. There's so many ways of how we can word this journey of what I call now coming into embodied wholeness. That's what expresses the journey or the path for me right now. And maybe to share some aspects of my story and how that unfolded for me, because I know it's a very personal and individual story and journey for everyone, because we have our own life circumstances, our own karmic threads that connect us through time and space. But I will share my story, and I feel you will be able to pick out some bits and pieces that might resonate with you for your life's journey and might give you some clarity, some guidance, or maybe even more questions, which isn't too bad. So we have pathways to continue our investigations in this infinite great mystery. That's what they call in many cultures. Our creation is the great mystery, because we would never come to the bottom of it, because it's bottomless, and it is not only bottomless, it expands into infinity. And the center point, which Hamaima brought us to in the closure of the meditation, there's the heart space, which connects the above, the below, the masculine and the feminine, all polarities. So beyond any story, the heart is the main focus, to be anchored in a space of love, compassion and truth, I feel. So my story is very much related to the history of my ancestors and their experiences. So my ancestors are from India, from the land of Punjab, which is now divided between Pakistan and India. That's where my grandparents all came from, geographically from the Pakistani part. And it's a long story, but I was born in Singapore and raised in Austria. So with that, there was a lot of confusion, I would say, because I grew up with a Singaporean mother, very Indian at heart, but very programmed by Singaporean culture. She was a primary school teacher in Singapore, so she raised me and my sister with the identity of us being Singaporeans. She was like, you are not Indians, you're Singaporeans, because in her mind, she received the program, is more evolved, is better, is more developed to be Singaporean, is a more developed nation than India. So that was what she planted into to me and my sister. But then growing up as a teenager, I wanted to be Austrian because I wanted to relate to my friends as just a normal person and not different, although I was somehow different because I don't know how familiar you are with Indian family structures. They are very different to Western family structures. So I wanted to be part of that friend circles, but then at the same time also very much Indian ways of thinking, of relating, Indian concepts of reality that were passed on to me, and that created a lot of confusion and conflict, I would say, when I was young. And I wasn't aware at that point that it was confusion and conflict, but there were a lot of mechanisms of distraction that I dove into. But through certain experiences, something very specific was learning in economics in school that in Europe they throw away mountains of food each year just to keep the inflation low. So I learned that in economics, and then I went home and saw the news and saw children in Africa and Ethiopia dying from starvation, and I just realized, oh my God, there's something completely messed up with the trajectory that this world is running on. It was very clear with certain books, like reading Brave New World, certain mystical experiences that I had with a Native American wisdom keeper. I felt there's a different reality to be explored than what was being offered to me by school, the narrative of like the mainstream in Austria, the expectations of my parents that wanted me as a good Indian son to become a lawyer, doctor, be successful in this life. And in Austria, as male citizen, you have to do either national service or social service. So I ended up doing a year of social service in the children's intensive care unit and was confronted with life and death and suffering and prolonged suffering. And at that point I wasn't aware of my sensitivity, but I just felt I was communicating to some of these patients and they were communicating their suffering to me. And the doctors and the nurses established in this Western medical system, they didn't have any feelers for that. They were just following the templates and the protocol of Western medicine. And that sparked me on a journey with some other mystical experiences that I had. And there was a rejection of India, actually, of my ancestry, of my heritage. But then I had some mystical experiences and met some hippies that had visited India, and they were like, oh my God, India is amazing. And they spoke about reincarnation, and they spoke about their gurus, and they spoke about the gods. And I was like, oh my God, these are really cool dudes, and they really love India. There must be something really exciting about my heritage. So that sparked me as like a late teenager, and in my early 20s, what I wanted to do was to go to the forest and study with a shaman, and to go to India and find a guru. That was what my urge was, or my passion was driving me to do. But family expectations were very different. My parents were like, oh, we have come to the West to give you a better life, and now you want to go and live in these old-fashioned ways back in India. So that created a lot of conflict when I was young. There were certain initiations that I went through as well, and now in retrospect, when I look at them, I would say those were rites of passages that originally, I'm not sure if you're familiar with rites of passages. These are transitions in our maturing from childhood into adolescence, from adolescence into adulthood, from adulthood into becoming an elder. These are certain chapters in our lives. And if we grow up in communities, indigenous communities, or communities that are connected to these natural cycles of our lives, they have these rituals or ceremonies, so there's a conscious transition into the next phase of life. But unfortunately, that has gotten lost in these modern days. And so I self-initiated myself in some form, in quite radical ways, which caused a lot of havoc within the family structures, created a lot of ripples. But that self-initiation somehow opened up a lot of doorways into perception of reality. Like I knew there is much more in this life than what the mainstream narrative was. I trusted it, but I didn't have any guidance or any teacher at that point. That's why I was craving for. In India, there's this concept of a guru, right? And now somehow that concept has gotten very distorted and fragmented as well, because that template of a guru in these times that we are in right now in Indian cosmology, it's known as Kali Yuga or Kali Yuga, which is the Iron Age. It's a time of ignorance, and that what seems to be true in this age is usually untrue, and the truth is very much undercover during these times. And in the same way, that template of a guru, a guide, a teacher has become distorted because it hasn't been displayed or practiced in an authentic way, where the guru is a humble servant to creation and to humanity, with what we can see, which is very prevalent in the world right now, in politics especially, I would say, or not only in politics, overall social aspects in life, is a very narcissistic way of self grandeur behavior, and that hasn't made halt of like the Indian traditions and different like lineages. You see it in various religions where those that are actually there to serve others have started serving themselves. But as an original template and concept is really phenomenal, because it's about a lineage where wisdom, and not only wisdom that we can understand with our mind, but it is energy, it is a frequency that has been passed on through initiations from generation to generation. And so in my early 20s, I got initiated in a yogic tradition by an Austrian guy in the Austrian mountains. Very interesting life circumstances that led to that. And how that helped me and supported me was that I could ask that person the questions that I was really interested in, which was, what is this life? What is this universe about? What is the purpose of our lives? I wasn't like, and in retrospect, I was actually longing for a father figure as well at that point, because my father, he would at that point say, go study, have an education, have a job, but that was not what I was interested in. I wanted to know what this life and this creation was all about. So in retrospect, it was a mature father figure that I was craving. And with my guru at that point, I received a lot of guidance, and the main guidance, which is still the foundation of my pathway, is devotion. So what my guru told me at that point is, whatever you do in life, don't do it for yourself, don't do it for your own gratification, offer it to the divine. And of course, in that teaching, there are certain scriptures, certain practices that were passed on to me, and we studied certain scriptures, the main one being the Bhagavad Gita. Excuse me, there's a little bit background noise for a few moments, I believe. And in that scripture is like the teachings of Krishna to Arjuna, which stands at the battlefield and has to follow a pathway, and he's resistant to following that pathway, but it's his path of dharma. In the Indian traditions you call it dharma, which is the righteous path in harmony with the divine unfolding. That's how I would describe it. You can live your karmic path, where you create more cycles of repercussions, more karmic webs that you entangle yourself into. But if you walk this path of devotion, where you offer what you do to the greater good of all, to a higher being, to divinity, however you name it, you can liberate yourself from these entanglements, and you start to walk a path in service. And that is very simple. For many years I traveled, visited many places, had different variations and varieties of spiritual practices, but each day offering my day in service to the divine was always the foundation. And it's quite phenomenal, because this divine consciousness, this divinity is all-knowing, has limitless power, and if we relate to that, we can receive limitless energy, we can receive infinite wisdom, and that connection has supported me and blessed my journey in infinite ways, and continues to bless my journey in infinite ways. Recently I was in India. I just came back a week ago, and there were amazing people that I met, very, very simple, very humble people, but very, very devoted. And whenever I shared like my gratitude to them for what they did for me, when they took me to a place, or when they made food for me, they always said, no need to thank me, it's all a gift of the divine. So there was in that setting, in their humbleness, in their divinity, there was that remembrance and the presence that everything always comes from this divine consciousness, and that we can always relate to that. Whatever it is, every blessing that we receive, we have as humans, I feel I've gotten very, very sidetracked and disconnected from the fact that everything is only granted through higher consciousness. And we have become very, very self-absorbed, with us being the doers and the manifestors and the facilitators, and basically our egos have been pumped up too much for us to live in true peace and in true harmony within ourselves. So that humbleness, being in devotion and being of service, that's been key for me on my journey. And I shared I wanted to go to the forest and study with a shaman. That didn't happen. I studied physiotherapy in Austria, which was really beautiful. It gave me foundation of anatomy, physiology, pathology. Started working with clients, but from there on I continued my studies in craniosacral therapy, theta healing, breath work, inner dance. I moved to Bali, studied sound healing, working with indigenous cultures, with medicines, plants, came along my journey. And on that journey, after leaving Austria to Bali, something came into my presence, which people nowadays probably would call grid work. For those who have the cameras on, can you raise your hand if you have heard the term grid work or are familiar with grid work? Okay, most of you. So in the same way as in Bali, I was aware of that on some levels before, but in Bali it really came into deep presence into my consciousness that as we have our chakras and our energy centers in our human and energetic embodiment, so does the earth have energy channels, energy centers. So do the land masses have energy channels, energy centers. It can be the underground waterways, it can be underground crystal veins. If you look at ancient civilizations or indigenous cultures, they are very much aware of these energy lines, the grid lines in the planet. Like the Great Pyramids of Cairo, Machu Picchu, Uluru in Australia, Avalon here in the UK. All of these ancient historical and sacred sites are located very precisely on the earth. But then again, as with the Glastonbury zodiac that I shared about, the Great Pyramids, all of these sites have very precise alignments to the celestial constellations and to the stars as well. So that planetary grid, I realized, is a bridge into unity consciousness, right? It is a map for energy on Earth. It is a map that reflects the celestial energies. And if we look at our personal lives, all of our personal lives can be mapped out through the geography of the planet. All of the lives of our ancestors can be mapped out through the geography of the planet. All of collective human history can be mapped out through the geography of the planet. Ancient planetary history, ancient civilizations where land masses have been swallowed and spat out somewhere else, where the tectonic plates have shifted, everything is stored within the geology of the planet. And so when we learn to tune in to that energy within the land, within the water, in harmony with tuning into our personal energy, there is a lot that we can discover. There's a lot that we can unlock for ourselves. There's a lot that we can unlock for the collective, and that is the ancient way of pilgrimage, being on sacred pilgrimage, where people would go on walks with specific intentions in devotion to sacred sites, because those pathways along the land really help us to amplify these prayers of devotion. So in Bali, that really crystallized for me, and very much also through the workings with sound, vibration and frequency. The indigenous in Australia call these grid lines, the energy lines of the planet, song lines, because they are aware that the energy through the earth travels through sound, vibration and frequency. So working with sound on the land is really something that can awaken that awareness for ourselves, where we start to sense and to feel more of that interconnectedness, how we are one with the earth beyond linear time and space. And so living in Bali, life spun me on a whirlwind tour all across the planet. It's a very condensed version of my story, and spat me out here in Glastonbury, the ancient Isle of Avalon, which many people know as the heart chakra of the planet. Some people describe it as the shadow gateway into the heart, because to get into our heart resonance, we have to really transmute everything that is not of the frequency of love. And so all of that darkness will come to the surface, and Glastonbury or Avalon has that potential to bring these layers to the surface. So I ended up here, and at that point I was not yet having my uncut hair in this way, wasn't following the mystic warrior tradition of the Sikh lineage, but that came alive when I came to the UK. So 2 years prior to coming to the UK, my mother had passed away, and she had cancer, and that was also something that pulled me out of Bali and spun me on this whirlwind tour. And she was from a Sikh family. we journeyed very deep and very closely during her time with cancer, and I gave a lot of sound healing, especially for the past 2 months. I gave her sound healing journeys every evening. It was like being on a medicine journey with her, where she was drifting for 2 months between the realms already, where she was half on her way out and came back. So we were weaving some very ancient layers, and after she had passed and after I came to the UK, it was like my Sikh ancestry started knocking on my door. And it was like, okay, now it's time for you to remember your ancestry and your connection to this lineage. And that happened through certain people that I met and certain initiations that I received here, but also because there's a historical connection of the British Empire and India that has influenced the history of my grandparents, my parents, and my history and my life. Since I've been here in the UK, there's been a lot of ancestral and a lot of karmic healing that has been coming up for me. So a rediscovering of my heritage, because there are a lot of Indian people here in the UK as well. I grew up in the Austrian mountains with just a handful of Indian families, so it was very different. So that has really transpired here for me, and around 7 years ago I started following the mystic warrior tradition of the Sikh lineage. And in that lineage, again, bhakti, devotion is foundation. Devotion, seva is foundation, which means being of selfless service. Naam, working with mantra, sacred vibrations, is fundamental. But at the same time, I continue with my workings here on the land, with the sacred sites, guiding people on the sacred sites, doing healing work, one-on-one, in-person, online, mentorships, ceremonial work, deep transformational healing and purification work. That's what is transpiring through me and from me now, here in Avalon. And Avalon, Glastonbury, or the Isle of Avalon, is also known as the Isle of the Goddess. So in this whole journey for me, and I want to conclude with this, there's something very significant relating to the divine feminine. So many initiations, but the big initiation for me was the transition of my mother and us journeying very closely during her time having cancer. Also in Bali, that's when it started awakening, that connection to the feminine divine, coming here to Glastonbury, Avalon, the Isle of the Goddess. That energy is very present. And in our tradition, the mystic warrior tradition, the Nihang tradition of the Sikh lineage, it is foundational and fundamental, the feminine divine. So we relate, we bow down first to the feminine divine represented by the sword. Yeah, in our tradition, Siripagoti, which is the sword, the sacred sword, is an expression of the mother goddess. And we bow down to that mother goddess first, because she is who nurtures, she gives birth, she protects, she clears the darkness and the evil. And in all religions these days, also in the Sikh, what you could call now religion, that feminine divine has been taken out of the equation, because that feminine divine is what empowers. But institutionalized religions are more political, have more political intentions than spiritual intentions, and therefore they don't want the people to be empowered, and therefore that feminine divine has been taken out of the equation. So in our tradition is specifically two scriptures through colonial influences that were sidelined and have been taken out of the equation for what is now the mainstream Sikh religion, but the mystic warrior tradition has kept those scriptures alive, and we are still following those scriptures and honoring the teachings of those scriptures, and they have really helped and supported me in my personal life, in my journey, to find, which was a yearning and a call of the whole pathway that I shared from my birth, teenage years to now. That was a yearning to embody that sovereignty, to live a free life, because I saw that this system that we were living was a complete hoax. Like, come on, seriously, like throwing food away and letting people starve. Like, what's that about, right? If we look at true humanity. And that sovereignty is coming back and is returning. And I feel very blessed and fortunate to have experienced just recently in my ancestral lands in Punjab, that in many places of the world, not only Punjab, I trust in many other places, that sovereignty and that connection and that devotion has never been uprooted and taken away. So that is my journey and my story, and from like connecting to the unified field through the grid, there have been phases where a lot of celestial, a lot of galactic information has come in, different remembrance around the star lineages connected to different places on the planet where I was traveling as well. But now recently, and what I did in India and Punjab was working on my digestion, on my gut health, and that has been a real game changer. I did some Ayurvedic work, and it really helped to anchor and ground a lot of the expansion that I was craving for when I was young. And it feels like it is landing and grounding more. So sharing about on this journey of awakening, there can be a lot of expansion that comes in. When we work with different ceremonies, with plant medicines, a lot of expansion comes in, but it is really, to make it real, we have to ground and embody that. Because we are star beings, but we are star beings because we are humans. Humans are galactic beings in itself. So really embodying that humanness has been really essential. So for me, I'll speak about my journey in my early 20s, like this self-initiation, rite of passage without guidance. I really expanded my consciousness very, very vast. And I think since then it's been a journey of like grounding all of that and embodying all of that to make it real. And I feel with this recent work in India, a lot of that has anchored on deeper levels, and because when we crave this expansion but don't want to ground and embody it, and I'm speaking about myself, it can be the tendency of wanting to escape from being fully here and being fully human. And therefore I just want to share that is to make it real, embracing our full humanness and that physicality beyond all of the downloads, all of the transmissions, all of the expansions. It is just as important, or maybe more important, to be fully embodied, fully here and fully human. So thank you for listening. You can all, I know there's some time for questions. You can all also reach out to me personally. Hamaima, you're welcome to share my WhatsApp contact if there are any other questions, if there's any help, guidance or support that I can assist with. Yeah, but I will, after that, pass it on to Hamaima, and I hope there was something that you could receive from here, some reflections, some mirroring of your journey that could be helpful and supportive for you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, my dear friend. I realized halfway through that what I've just put you through to just say, talk about yourself and without like asking any questions in between is actually quite hard. You did a great job, but like, like it's because it's so much one can share and then, you sometimes one gets onto like tangents and I know that for myself, you did it really well and held it together really well. But probably next time when we do this, would be good if I had prepared some questions. So I'm sorry that I opened this for you in that way. And thank you for sharing. And I know there's so much more that you can share and have already shared with me as well. And I'm so grateful, first of all, for your energy in this circle, generally in Mission on Earth, your energy as a friend in my life. And also like big honoring for your journey and how you dedicate your entire life to spirituality and to co-creating this new earth, or however we want to call it, to make a difference, to make a change, to walk, to be a role model, to lead by example. And you do, how you carry yourself, how you hold yourself, what you share. We also can have a good giggle and have fun. And, like I really appreciate you. So there we have it again. We talked about it at the start, this expression. You are really like a role model. Like I'm so grateful for you. And I know that this, it's not an easy path to, it's a lot of also sacrifice one makes. And so I honor you for walking this path. And thank you so much. And yeah, and
Thank you.
before we open to questions from all of you guys, what I feel and the people I work with, and I have it myself as well. I have moments where I actually do lose hope. I feel like I have been holding kind of or trying to hold this frequency of the new and sharing and lifting people up and like supporting and then sometimes I have moments where I kind of run out of steam a little bit, and I'm feeling like, oh, this has been going on for a little while. I don't know how much longer I can tell everyone that the new earth is already here. They might, at some point, they might ask, so when, how? I can't see it. So what do you have as an advice for us when we feel like there are moments where we lose hope, where we feel like we had enough, we want to give up, this has been too hard? What would you advise?
What would I advise? So this path that I'm on is like a warrior path, and there are a lot of great teachings from the Shaheed Singhs, which are like the fallen warriors of the Sikh lineage. And the Sikhs, they never fought battles to conquer new territory. The only battles that the Sikh warriors fought were for sovereignty, to maintain freedom of choice for religion, if you look at it historically. And this warrior path, like what I always bring into presence is, we came here with nothing, we are all gonna die here with nothing at some point. And we really, as humans, we attach to a lot of things. We attach to the new earth, we attach to family, we attach to the house, the place that we live. And non-attachment is the greatest pathway of liberation. And so I totally feel it, and it can be tough at times, like with what is happening in the world right now. But then realizing, for me, when I reflect on, at some point I will leave this body, I won't be here anymore, Shamir in this identity will be gone, and it puts everything into perspective, is where suddenly, from that point of being low and discouraged, we can gain a lot of force and a lot of strength by really detaching from all of it. I think it's really important to have Sangha and what you are doing here, Mission on Earth, like community, where we can speak about these things, reflect upon these things, where we have support, is really good and important to have, I think, teachers, mentors, guides, gurus, however you want to call it, like some person, or maybe it's more than one person, that can help us when these moments come up where we feel discouraged, where we feel like, oh, everything is getting too much. It's been really like I have to bow down to all of my guides and my teachers along the journey. Like I've received so much, and I wouldn't be who I am right now without them.
Mhm.
Like it's really important to have these mentors along the journey. And it doesn't have to be like this official mentorship relationship where like, oh, I need to book in for a session, and um, yeah, but trying to be amongst like-minded people where we can support each other, and really creating a structure where you feel there are people you can fall back onto.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, very important. And you have been one of those people a few times for me and continue to do so, I'm sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so is there anybody else who has a question for Shamir? Take advantage.
Uh, yes. Hi, Shamir. My name is Doris.
Hi,
Uh,
Doris.
very grateful to meet you. I would like to know, do you know about the pyramids in Bosnia?
Yes,
Yes.
I haven't visited the pyramids in Bosnia,
Hmm.
but I know of them. Some friends have visited.
Mhm.
Um, they are very powerful. What I feel is, and what I heard from people that have visited, it's like a very Atlantean energy
Mhm.
that they hold.
Hmm.
I've been there.
Me too. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Yeah.
yeah. I've been there for 6 weeks, every day in the tunnels, and I my vibration or energy, how you call it, was so high I couldn't go and deal with other human beings anymore. So and I don't know. Maybe you know or feel it. What is the purpose or the reason for these pyramids being there, at, because I could feel like it is a kind of activator.
Yeah,
Is that like this?
that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like they were constructed in a time where planetary consciousness was on a different vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you felt when you said, oh, you felt like really expanded in your consciousness, it was hard for you to deal with humans, is because the energy template that they hold is that expansion of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in ancient times, they probably were some form of energy or consciousness generating mechanisms that were held. But I believe,
Mm-hmm.
like most of the pyramids, like now they say, the Great Pyramid in Egypt is like a tomb, which yeah doesn't make sense at all to me. Is they are like very advanced earth technology that connects to celestial consciousness and activates frequency and vibration on the earth. And so it feels to me like that is what you experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And we travel to these sacred sites, as I shared. I know about the Bosnian pyramids, but I've never been there. We all visit certain places at certain times, or we don't visit certain places, but we get to these places because we have some karmic threads. We have some soul contracts with these places in this life.
Mhm.
So that's why it was important for you to be there for these 6 weeks to
Uh-huh.
receive something that will help you on your journey. And maybe
Mm.
it's like a wrapping up or unwrapping of something from the past. That's how I have experienced like a lot of my travels. Like when I was in Central America with the pyramids, I had like remembrance of my past lives in those civilizations. So there's always nothing, not even the smallest grass blade bending through the wind, happens just randomly
Mm.
in this creation. Everything is synchronized infinitely and intricately in ways that we could never comprehend as humans. But
Mm. Mm.
that is the divine consciousness ever unfolding. And
Mm.
so that you visited there, there's definitely some karmic threads.
Okay. Mm. Thank you. Mhm.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? I think, Patrick, you're sitting on the energy is sitting with you. I can feel it.
Uh, There's a lot of energy moving through me in the receiving of, I know Shamir to a degree on a personal level, but to really kind of receive the story and the relativity in different forms, how I've experienced my own life and the correspondence to a lineage that works with the energies of the grids. And I feel the connection with Avalon and Glastonnia and this family essence that is in all of its different shapes and sizes in this day and age. You know, how we are recalling parts of ourselves. And yeah, I don't know if there's a question as such. It's more a reciprocity of giving and receiving, and really gratitude for the embodiment that you move through this world with. I've sat in one of your incredible sound journeys and received from this as well. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again somewhere along the way and reflecting. But yeah, I feel very humbled to be joining these energies with everybody on the call and to be here today. It feels like a real gift for me to experience. So yeah, much love to everyone here.
Oh, bless you, Patrick, and also thank you for being a part of Mission on Earth from the start, and have also shared a lot of offerings at the start for Mission on Earth. So we're also very happy to have you one day and share about your journey. It also has been an intense journey of remembrance, right? And yeah. So thank you for being here.
Mm,
Yeah, thank you,
Mm.
Patrick.
Mm.
Appreciate you, brother, and yes, looking forward to weaving.
mm.
Mm.
Okay.
Hi. Anybody else? Anything that you've been confused about, or would be nice to have a new perspective on? A couple more questions. We have time for breed. You said you want to be called breed. I like it.
Hi. I don't know if really a question, but I also have immense gratitude for you, Shamir and Jemima, and everyone on this call, because it's really it's helped me remember just being on this, a 1 hour call. I've felt so alone for the past couple of years, and I've been back in the United States and haven't been around my tribe, I guess, which I felt like I found when I was traveling. And um, I guess just, Shamir, you talked about not non-attachment And I think that's a lot of where I'm feeling attached to what I have left of my family, my sister and nieces and nephews. And have a lot of fear of leaving, and also I have a fear of not having a home. Um, so anyhow, if there's anything that you can speak on that, or how to let go, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I shared very, as if it seems very easy to follow this path of non-attachment, but it can be very, very difficult. And how should I say, also reflecting on what I experienced in India recently and putting it into perspective with like the Western ways of living, where we have somehow been brought up to live in these very isolated family structures, and even like these family structures of falling apart right now. And in India, in rural areas, now I experience again how it is to live multi-generationally as a family together, as a village, and how that is actually much more conducive for humans to thrive and to be in their fullness. Like in the way of how isolated and insular we are living in Western societies, nobody has time anymore for anything, because we have to do everything ourselves somehow. So, and there's so much richness that I experienced in the family gatherings that I experienced in India recently, because I grew up in a very small family in Austria, just my parents and my sister and me, and there were no other relatives there. And somehow through my family expectations, which I wanted to get like away from, I rejected family somehow. But now I'm learning how important that is. And it's interesting because we can be with family and enjoy that and relish that and see the importance of that, like you being with family and feeling the love with your siblings and your nieces, but at the same time not being attached to that. I think that is a key. We can enjoy and we can relish anything in life, but with that awareness that at some point we leave it all. And home is also really interesting, because for me that question of, oh, where is my belonging, where is my home, that has been a question for many chapters of my life, and is related to our root, to our belonging. And I know you really felt that when you were here in the UK, right? And for me as well, my quest of connecting to that rootedness and groundedness, for me, is very much related to connecting to my ancestry and figuring out where I've come from, to learn who I am. So home is a tricky one, because right now we live in a society which requires finances to be able to live, to be able to sustain ourselves, and that is all related to the root chakra. What I realized recently in India, or coming back from India, So in Ayurveda, the root is represented by our digestion. And I did some amazing work in India sorting out my gut. And that has really shifted something very, very profound for me in terms of just feeling at home within myself more. And I feel that is with people like me and like you, people that are maybe in between places. There are other people I know, like Lucy here also has been traveling a lot. There are many homes that we have geographically, but finding that home within ourselves, I think, is the main key. And also when we find that home within ourselves, which is within our digestion, but our digestion within our gut, that reflects onto our nervous system as well. When we find that within, then the non-attachment will be much easier as well. So just some reflections. I hope they can be helpful, some helpful pointers on your journey. I would love to offer a solution, but I can't. Is this adventure of life ever unfolding?
You have offered a lot of inspiration for us to find our own solution, so that's already pretty good. Thank you so much, my love. So I think we come to the end of our gathering. Jen, quickly.
Yeah, can I quickly share something? I also want to say thank you, Shamir, and thank you, Jemima, for organizing and bringing us all together, and for the beautiful wisdom. And I think I actually met you before, Shamir, 2 years ago at Mahala, at the
All right,
Sanctum of
yes.
Sound, where I played a concert, and you played a concert as well, I remember.
I remember now, yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I just was looking up actually what was the date, and it was exactly on April 7th as well. So
Oh,
Wow.
seriously?
I think that was a very interesting, little
Wow.
synchronicity.
Ooh, magic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and because I also been feeling very, very called to this energy of the sword, and in the last circle with Hamaima also we kind of made it the topic. It's been in the field, and since you are working with the sword archetypally, I'm very curious what would be your advice on how to be more in contact with the sword. But the other thing that came also, and it was emphasized through what Brigitte shared, I'm wondering about these grid lines and the grid work that you are doing and others are doing, and I've heard a lot about it, and I'm wondering what could help one to connect with the grid in the places where we are, as we are all stewards of the place where we live. And there are these larger energy lines, and then there are also the smaller energy lines, like the whole gut system of the towns and the rural areas where we are in between the larger meridians. So maybe you have some advice for what we could do to begin relating with the land, with the grid, from that perspective, to also reestablish a different sense of relating that will maybe also help us feel more at home, more at ease, and more healthy
yeah,
with each other and the land.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's really beautiful that it was exactly 2 years ago. Like, it's quite synchronistic, honestly. I was in Berlin just recently before going to India. Yes, I feel the spirals through time and space. In regard to your question relating to the sword, I think one good step is to get yourself a sword. And let me share a little bit more around that, because people nowadays, when they hear warrior, warrioress is more the concept of like a savage, somebody that is in battle and uses anger or volatile energy for destruction to conquer. But also in our tradition, and if you look at the stories of Avalon, the lands that I'm on right now, you have the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Excalibur, the Sword of Truth. The sword is something that holds us in accountability. It is something that brings us into truth, because with that sacred blade we have more power, and with that power comes more responsibility. So I think there are different stories. I think the Celtic stories, or the stories of King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, is a good place to start connecting with that. And the sword brings in truth. Excalibur, the sword of truth, the sword of the true king. If you look at sword and word, there's just one letter difference, which is the S in front of the W. So the sword of truth and the word of truth are very much related. And also if you look at the Sikh tradition, we honor the sword, the double-edged broadsword, and all the weapons. And the first mantra in the Sikh tradition has 5 times the word truth in it. So it's really about truth. So the sword brings us into our own truth, and it's like an inner quest of being truthful in our lives, but also truthful to ourselves. So we can't avoid ourselves with that energy of the sword. So it's good to get a physical sword, to be able to relate to it, that energy. And then it's also good to start physically working with it in terms of sword practices, but also there are certain mantra practices that help you to invoke that energy of the sword. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me, and I can send you some simple mantras that invoke that sword, and I'm sharing it here with everyone as well. From the 18th to the 21st of June, we have a ceremony in Northampton in the Midlands here in the UK. It's 48 hours of chanting the Brahmkavach, which is a Shakti mantra. So it honors the divine feminine in 32 forms, but all of these 32 forms are different forms of swords and weapons. So it is really invoking that energy of protection, the energy to clear ignorance and darkness. That is an event which is for free. 18th to 21st of June, everybody is welcome. There's a specific protocol to follow with this ceremony because it generates a lot of energy, so we have to be aware of certain things, but there will be preparation calls on Zoom. So anybody that wants to join and feels a calling is welcome to that ceremony. Yes, Lucy joined in January, and yeah, it can be very profound and life-changing, and everybody's welcome. So if you feel it's working with the energy of the sword, but the sword of Durga, the energy of Durga, which is one of the mother goddesses in the Indian pantheon, and she has 8 arms, so she has a weapon in each arm, and she just slays the demons of ignorance. That is kind of what happens metaphysically in that ceremony. So you also got to be ready to have your own inner demon slayed, which sometimes can be more or less fun, but it's definitely worth it.
Beautiful offering. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I hope that has been helpful, Jen.
There was a second part of the question, but maybe we can, that can
Oh,
be
yes.
answered in a different, or briefly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do research. If you find in your environment grid lines, ley lines, usually where you have churches, cathedrals, are intersection points of grid lines and ley lines. because that's where the Christians built the churches, because they saw that the ancient wisdom keepers of the land were gathering with the tribes or with the people, and those are places to connect with those energies. Usually they are restricted because they are places of worship and religion in terms of what we can do, but even just meditating or doing mantra silently within allows you to connect to that. Besides that, going onto the land wherever you feel called to, and I know you play music, you sing as well, so with your voice, with instruments, and going into resonance with the song lines of the planet, and therefore creating a relationship and activating, clearing or purifying energies through there or from there. And another thing is finding springs or wells. Natural water sources always are connected to earth energy lines, and going to these natural water sources and being in presence, in meditation, in sound currents at these natural water sources, yeah, that will shift things and bring things alive again as well.
Thank you, thank you. Shamir, for people to find you, to ask questions, can you share your details in the Telegram group, or what is the best way to do it?
Yes, I will share my email, my Instagram, my website, and my WhatsApp number in the Telegram group.
Beautiful,
And
beautiful.
yeah, feel free to reach out.
If anyone is not part of this group, I can, yeah, message me. I send you the link, or send you Shamir's details. And thank you, Shamir, so much for sharing, being here with us, and for your generous spirit. Now you're sitting in the dark.
Yes, and in the dark, I brought like my ring light, but I don't have the right adapter, so
Oh, don't worry, don't
I'll,
worry.
I'll stay in the dark.
Yeah. So, and everyone, let's close. Let's have our closing prayer.
Thank you, Hamaima, for creating and holding the space of Mission on Earth and holding this space as well. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And I hope somewhat of what I shared, yeah, has been helpful, supportive, or reflective for you on your journey. Really grateful.
Oh, thank you, my love. So, everyone, let's close the eyes and let, yeah, probably Shamir's words and the words that were shared here have like inspired, triggered, maybe shifted something already. And yeah, I'm just inviting you to let them settle, to maybe take a little time after this call to journal, to see if there are any more questions, anything that came up, and you're welcome to share with us. And for now, yeah, closing this container, let's all close our eyes, maybe have the hands in prayer position. We can imagine being in a big circle around a fire, and not only us, but all of those who are part of Mission on Earth, and beyond that, all the new Earth souls, all the ones who bring change, who are yearning for a more harmonious, beautiful, peaceful place that we are co-creating as we speak. May the earth beneath your feet hold you steady. May the ancient stones remember your name. May the winds carry your prayers across the land. And may the fire in your heart burn clear and bright. May the waters of life restore you when the journey feels heavy. And may you always remember that you do not walk this path alone. For the circle lives within you, and the earth knows why you are here. With gratitude, we release this circle. May what was shared here continue to ground and live through us in service to us and the times we're here to meet. Though we part in form, the fire of this council remains within us, steady, guiding, and alive. Come as you are, and remember who you are becoming. And so it is. So everyone, I'm just trying to stop the recording. It wasn't. Ah, yeah, here.